Is that door open for a reason?
I don't know. You know, like turn to the side and maybe get a bit more. Yeah. We need some more on the side.
Yeah. Can we go over closer?
Yeah, let's move it out.
Be careful not to knock this stuff over. That's good. Ready? Where's Maria? Can you please? Ready? Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to start out this morning by having everyone that's to my left and to my right and behind me introduce themselves, because each and every person that stands here represents someone whose organization and themselves who worked very hard in getting to the point where we are in this case. Obviously, we're not done, but we do have to announce these charges today. So let me start to my right and your left. If they'll say their name very loudly and then say who they're representing and where they are from.
This is Donald Dawkins representing ATF. Rob Moran, Assistant Prosecutor.
Lisa Lindsay, Assistant Prosecutor.
Patrick Muscat, Assistant Prosecutor.
Dave Hiller, Chief of Police, Grosse Pointe Park. Detective Timothy Matu, Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Detective Corey Williams, Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Rob Howard, FBI, Detroit.
Ray Washington, representing Wayne County Sheriff Benny and Napoleon.
Inspector Darrell Hill, Michigan State Police. Investigator Don Lawson, Detroit Homicide.
Detective First Lieutenant Derek Cage, Michigan State Police. Investigator Donald Ferris, Detroit Valley Crime Task Force.
Jeff Brown, Supervisor, FBI.
Simon Chiquette, FBI.
Chris Hess, FBI.
As you can see, this was a totally collaborative effort, and I want to say good morning, first of all. And as you know, very sadly, Jane Bashara was brutally murdered in her home that she shared with her husband, Robert Bashara, on January 24th earlier this year. This office charged Joseph Gentz with her murder as well as conspiracy to commit murder on March the 5th of this year. Mr. Gentz has since been held in the Wayne County Jail and is currently awaiting his court date on his competency hearing that's scheduled for July 23rd in the 36th District Court. The investigation into Jane Bashara's death continues, obviously. During the course of this investigation, however, we became aware that Mr. Bashara was allegedly looking for someone to kill Mr. Gentz in the Wayne County Jail prior to his July 23rd court date. So from June the 8th through and including June the 25th, we are alleging that this defendant, Mr. Bashara, met with another person, not a law enforcement official, on several occasions for the purpose of hatching a plan to kill Mr. Gentz in the jail. Our evidence will show that Mr. Bashara paid, there was an exchange of money, this other individual to kill Mr. Gentz. Further investigations show that this was not the only person that Mr. Bashara solicited to kill Mr. Gentz. Accordingly, we are today charging Mr. Bashara with one count of solicitation to murder. That's any term of years up to life in prison. We expect that Mr. Bashara will be arraigned today at the 36th District Court at 1 o'clock p.m. Shortly after the charging of Mr. Gentz in March, this office assumed the lead role in this investigation, and we have great assistance from many police and other law enforcement personnel. Let me first say that Lisa Lindsay and Rob Moran from our office will be charging this case, will be trying this case, and Corey Williams and Tim Latook of my office were the lead Wayne County Prosecutor investigators. We have had, as I said, great collaboration from many entities in law enforcement, the Michigan State Police, the Violent Crimes Task Force, which of course includes the Michigan State Police, the Detroit Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and of course the Grosse Pointe Park Police Department. Obviously, this investigation in this case continues, and I will not under any circumstances rush its progress. I will take only a few questions, but I will not answer any specifics about the still going on investigation. For obvious reasons, it was necessary for us to move forward with today's charges for now. We encourage, as always we do in any case, anyone with information regarding the homicide of Jane Bashara to call the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office Criminal Investigation Bureau at 313-985-4444. 313-967-6120. 313-967-6120. I'll take a few questions at this time.
Ms. Worthy, could you talk a little bit about the plan itself? What was supposed to happen in the jail?
Again, this was pretty typical, if I can use that word, of solicitation cases. We had, again, really not much more I can say than what I've said already. We have heard through our investigative sources that, in fact, Mr. Bashara allegedly wanted Mr. Gintz killed. I wanted it done again prior to him going to court. Became more anxious about it as time went on and as July 23rd approached. And so, therefore, we were able to gain information and specific information through this person, and we do also know that the evidence will show that money was exchanged.
How much money?
That'll come out in court.
We can presume, but can you talk about the motive?
The motive?
Correct.
Well, I think we don't have to presume. The evidence will show that Mr. Bashara wanted Mr. Gintz killed because he didn't want him to testify in any future proceedings should there be any.
Well, should we expect any new charges against Mr. Bashar because of the reasoning why he wanted to kill Mr. Gintz?
Well, these are the charges: solicitation to murder today. Again, the investigation into the death of Mrs. Bashara continues. And so we're continuing to work on that daily.
Has security been stepped up at the Camp Tremor jail where Gintz is?
Obviously, when we found out that Mr. Gintz's life was possibly in danger, obviously we took precautions with the Wayne County Jail facilities to the Sheriff's Office, and they are represented here today.
Can you talk about the connection that Mr. Bashar had with this person before he offered him money to kill Mr. Gintz?
I'm not going to at this time.
Can you say if Mr. Bashara wanted anybody else dead?
I'm not going to comment on that either.
Was the hit supposed to come before the competency hearing?
Our information, our investigation showed that he wanted it done before Mr. Gintz returned to court on any proceeding.
Was the impetus
Captured on video, on audio? Can you discuss
Again, that will be shown in the evidence.
was nexus for this? This is just June 8th, days after Gentz passed his state competency and was working on a possible deal. Was this the impetus for the hit moving in this way?
Again, I never get into the mind, try to get into the mind of a defendant, but we do know that our evidence shows from the evidence that we have amassed in this case, through all of the efforts with people here, that he wanted this done, allegedly, before July 23rd.
Are you going to seek remand?
Of course, yes. These are serious charges. Yes. We don't think that he should be granted any bond at all. Our investigation into the death of Mrs. Bashara continues. And we have not ever stopped working on it. We just like to be thorough in this office. Everybody standing with me wants to be thorough. We want to do it right. We want to do it right the first time because we only get one time. So we're not going to rush it. But obviously when you have charges and allegations of this magnitude, we have to act swiftly to protect our witness and, quite frankly, any witnesses and the defendant that's already been charged in this case.
Can you talk about how many times he met with him in a year?
No.
Do you have any more details on who Mr. Bashara was talking to about this hit? Who are these people?
Of course I do, but I cannot divulge that at this time. That'll come out in any court of law, whether it be the exam or a trial if there's a trial.
So Mr. Bashara approached this individual versus this individual approach?
Again, typically in any solicitation case, we, of course, document our efforts. We get information. We try to act as swiftly as we can because we don't want people killed, whoever they are.
Can you speak to, was the effort stopped, or did this person become an informant that worked with police, or did somebody get close to killing Mr. Gintz?
Again, what we are alleging is that from June the 8th to June the 25th, there was great concern during that investigation, and we are alleging that there were meetings and there was at least one payoff.
Did the witness come to police with this information?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Did the informant, did the person who was being paid off approach your office?
I'm not going to comment on how we found out. I'm not going to give up any kind of investigative techniques.
Mr. Bashara's car still being held?
I don't know where the car is. Is it being held? I guess it's being held. Presumably, yes. All right. Thank you all very much for coming. Okay. You got the room. Oh, let me just correct something. Okay. Let me just correct something because I did misspeak about one thing. The Michigan's Constitution says we cannot ask for remand. Technically, it's a technicality in the Constitution. So we will ask for an extremely high bond that we do not expect he will be able to make. Yep.
Yes.